In part 2, we will going to discuss the specific daily learning outcomes of each learning competencies together with the daily procedures on how we will going to conduct each learning competencies to the class. In week 1 Monday, the first learning competency is illustrates polynomial functions, formal definition of a polynomial function. The specific daily learning outcomes are through the administration of the diagnostic test on polynomial functions, the students will be able to first define polynomial functions, second, identify polynomial functions, third, determine the form of polynomial functions, and the last one is arrange polynomial function in standard form. For the daily procedures of that learning competency, start the class with a short prayer. Next is administer a 25-minute diagnostic test to the students. Next is rationalize the answer of the diagnostic test for the students to recall important concepts needed in the discussion of the polynomial functions. Next is share a PowerPoint presentation on the flow of the objectives of the discussion on polynomial functions. Next, present a lecture video presentation that discuss the illustration of polynomial functions. Next, ask for comments and suggestions about the given presentation of the topic. Next is participate the class into a think, pair, share activity. And the last one is 5 minutes before the class ends, let the students share their output.
Next is day and time, week 1, Tuesday, 9 to 10. The learning competency is graph polynomial function, factoring polynomial using any method. Next is the specific learning outcomes, which are through the discussion of factoring polynomial using any method, the student will be able to recognize characteristic of graph of polynomial function. Next, use factoring to find zeros of polynomial function. Next, identify zeros and their multiplicities. Next, and the last one is students also can graph polynomial function using the end behavior, multiplicity, and zero. And its daily procedures are first, start the class with a short prayer. Next, present a PowerPoint presentation showing the flow on the objectives of the discussion on factoring polynomials. Next, ask students what their ideas about the presented topic. Next, present a lecture video that discusses the process on how to factorize a polynomial. Next, present video clips from YouTube that shows example of factoring polynomials using any methods. Next, ask for volunteers to share what they have learned from the videos. Next, give the students individual sheet works determining the intercept of the graph of the following given polynomial function. And the last one is check and ask volunteers to show their answers on the activity. Next, next learning competency is graph polynomial function determining the x-intercept and y-intercept, and its learning outcomes are through the lesson of graphing polynomial x-intercept and y-intercept. The students will be able to first recognize when an ordered pair is a y-intercept or an x-intercept. Next, identify and find x and y-intercept of the graph. Next, identify the x and y-intercept of a line given in graph form. And the last one is graph a linear equation using x-intercept and y-intercepts. And its daily procedures are start the class with a short prayer. Next, ask volunteer to recall the past topic. Next, introduce students the new topic to be discussed. Next, present the flow objectives of the discussion on determining the x-intercept and y-intercept. Next, ask someone to share on the class about his or her background ideas about the introduced topic. Next, start the discussion by presenting a PowerPoint presentation and ask students to participate in the class discussion. Next, ask students to identify the x and y intercept of the graph. Next, introduce the students on an activity called Teach Me, which is in this activity the students will work in group of two to three. Each group will work on a presentation to teach another small group of students about x and y intercepts. And the last one is give students an assignment before the class ends.
Next is day and time, week 1, Thursday, 10 to 10, 9 to 11, 9 to 10. Graph polynomial function, determine behavior of a graph of a polynomial function. That is the learning competency. Specific specific daily learning outcome is through the concept of evaluation. The student will able to identify the graph of a linear function, identity function, square root function, evaluate value as absolute value function, constant function, and quadratic function. Next is identify the behavior of a graph of polynomial function. Next, determine endpoint. Next, understand the relationship between degree and, and turning point. Daily procedure for that is start the class with a short prayer, ask student to submit their assignment, ask someone to volunteer in the class to recall the past topic, introduce the student on the activity called end behavior polynomial function, solving activities. In these activities, the student will classify each function according to its and behavior using cards with a mix of equation, explanation, and graph. Fifth is ask student on what the new topic is all about based on the performed activity. Six is start the discussion with a PowerPoint presentation and present several of example through video presentation. Seven is ask ask for comments, suggestions, or any classification uh, about the discussion. Eight is give student assignment before the class end. Next day, next day and time, week 2, Monday, solving problem involving polynomial function, solution of problem. That is the learning competency. Specific daily learning outcome for that is through conducting problem solving activities. The student will be able to identify the solve problem involving polynomial function, develop a problem solving method, realize in the importance of polynomial functions in solving real life problems. The daily procedure for that is start the class with a short prayer. Second is ask student to submit their assignment on on the behavior of the graph of a polynomial function. Third is introduce the student to the new topic with which is all about solving problem involving polynomial function. Fourth is discuss the topic by the use of PowerPoint and show example through video presentation. Fifth is ask student for to perform or solve some polynomial function problems. And last is check their output.
So that would be all. Thank you.